brilliant. We've had some of our biggest picket lines, certainly at London Met, but I know across London and nationally, than we've had in a very long time. Those picket lines were united, both with the three unions, but also importantly with the student unions who were coming out in our support. I think it's also important that this point in time, at this point in time to send our solidarity to those students at Sussex, at SOAS and at Sheffield who are occupying their university. We in UCU have a formal position with regards to student occupations, and I know this is a formal position because we moved this at our National Congress a few years ago, a motion that came from our branch, and that is, when students stand up in defence of education, we will be behind them 100%. We will stand with them when they're attacked by the police, we will stand with them when they're attacked by management, and we will do so with pleasure. They are standing for the same things we are standing for, and that is a defence of education. Ultimately, that's what this strike is about. It is about fair pay. It is about the fact that we've had a 13% cut over a number of years, and again, depending on which way you calculate it, that could be 13% or it could be 15%. The reality is, we have been suffering, both in terms of pay, but we've also been suffering in terms of workload. We've been suffering in terms of specialisation. We've been suffering in terms of the fact that we are bullying managers. We've been suffering in terms of the fact that we have less and less say over what we can do at work. We have less and less say over what we can teach. We have courses that keep getting closed. We are suffering as a whole because education is being devalued. We are the protectors of education. Those managers and those vice-chancellors, the ones who are degrading education, the ones who are penalising our students, the ones that are mortgaging our future, how dare they say we don't care about student interests? If you work in higher education and you care about your students, you have one choice. And your choice is this. You stand up for those students. If you want to stand up for those students, you do it on a picket line with your colleagues. That's how we fight for our students. It's of no benefit to students when they have underpaid, overworked and bullied staff in front of them. How does that improve education? It doesn't. If you are demoralised, you do not do a good lecture. If you are worried about how you can make ends meet, you aren't concentrating on the thing that you would like to be concentrating on, and that's the education of your students. If you are an administrative worker and you have loads of students in front of you, you cannot deal with them all because they've cut all of your colleagues who would be helping you. But let's be quite clear to those £250,000 vice-chancellors and the 2,500 senior managers on over £100,000 per year. I won't say it's what they earn, it's what they get. Those people don't give a damn about education. What they see is accounting sheets, and they see ultimately how can they make a profit out of education. That's what's the backdrop of all this. It's about increasing privatisation, it's about devaluing public services, and it's about saying actually not everybody should go into higher education. Why not? Why not? Actually in Finland over 80% of the population go on to higher education. Can we have too much education, can we? Can we have too a knowledgeable workforce? Don't be stupid. Actually, mind you, at one level maybe we can, because when people have knowledge, they think about their own predicament. When people have knowledge, they look at the world and they think, why is most of it starving when there's a few thousand people who have most of the world's income? Maybe they don't want people to think. Maybe they don't want us to teach those critical skills. Maybe that's why they want to commodify what we do. Maybe that's why they want to treat us as though we work in a factory. So when we are striking, it isn't just about us, and it isn't just about pay. It's for the future of our children. But I tell you what, the one thing we have got to learn from our employers is that when we fight, we have to, well, fight to win. Because they do. When they look at us, they work in a coordinated fashion. They talk to each other. They try to have somebody try a little here and a little there, and then they try to generalise from it. And they know that the best form of attack is to continue attacking. And they've been doing it for years. Now, a lot of people, and understandably so, say, can we afford to strike? And particularly those on the lowest incomes. And, we've got to acknowledge that. I think we have to turn the question around. If we accept we have had a 13% pay cut, what does that mean? It means that this year, before we lifted a finger, we have lost 34 days of strike pay. That's the equivalent. 13% is being out 34 days. If you look at it that way round, I think we can say 1 day is a great start. I actually think, and I'll be arguing in my union, we come out for 2 days in November and then we escalate. But I tell you what, if we are going to fight, we have to fight to win. It's no good just coming out 4 days, magnificent as this is, and then saying, actually, have we got the confidence to fight? I think we have to look at it another way around. We need the confidence not to lose. That means we need to fight to win. And if we're going to fight to win, after years of negotiating with an employer such as London Met, I'll tell you one thing. If you go into a negotiation and you go with a bloody big stick, they tend to listen to you a lot more than if you go into a negotiation and you sit on your hands. We have to go into those negotiations on the back of escalating action, because that is the language they understand, and that's what we have to be up for. This is good, but now we need to go forward.
Today for all that they said. Very important, every point that's been made. I want to thank you for coming.